Today, we welcome Arlissa into the Harman Experience Center in Los Angeles, California. And we're going to be talking about songwriting, we're going to be talking about her musical influences, and her new release. So please welcome Arlissa. So thanks so much for being here. That was a really beautiful performance.
Thank you.
Yeah. What was the name of the song?
It's called Hard to Be.
And what was the inspiration behind it?
Okay, so I'm really excited about this song because it is my most vulnerable song that I've put out. And it is about a past relationship. And my whole album is basically about this past relationship. And all the songs are like about keeping your heart open amidst all the BS of the world. And they have this very empowering, like, I'm good, I'm great, I can do whatever, like, I'm a powerful queen. However, this was a song where I was like, you know what? This actually really broke me. And it was a difficult thing, and I was really sad and heartbroken of what could have been. And I was just really vulnerable. I was very in my feels, and I wrote about it. And it's the only one that really, like, gets into that pain.
And isn't it interesting that when you have these breakups, you grieve what hadn't happened yet, or what the imagined is, and not what is. You had hoped for something to be or someone to be, and then that's the void that you're grieving. Yeah,
completely. And it's something that I have only started to practice now, and I call it futuring. Like, I'll meet someone and I'll just future immediately. I'll be like, ooh, I wonder. Like, just like wonder all these things.
Therapists will call that forecasting.
Oh, that makes more sense. That makes more sense.
Yeah, there are books.
But in Arlissa's world, we call it futuring.
Yeah, and, I like that better, though. Futuring sounds a lot more, embraceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and we have to take people for what they are. We have to take situations for what they are. We have to take the moment, whatever we're doing, for what it is. And it's really, you can't really be disappointed, and you can't have expectations when you just see it for what it truly is, because then you're just flowing. Yeah.
So what was your songwriting process prior to this album? What were you inspired to write, and where was it coming from?
Oh, God. Sorry, I'm just cracking myself up. So the last album that I wrote before that I never released was actually also about a past relationship. Sorry, I'm giddy today. I just got off a plane, by the way. That's why I'm probably a bit like... But
it's good television.
Yeah. So basically, before this last relationship, I was once married, and I wrote a whole album about that. And I basically did a whole eat, pray, love moment and dove straight into a next relationship, and then wrote a whole album about that. But I had always before tried to have an idea of what I was writing about. Like, I want to write a song about this because I'm angry today. Mm-hmm. And that is just, I have learned not the way to do it. Now, for me, when I go to the studio, or if I just feel like writing, I just let whatever comes out come out. I just like to be a channel, because it's not really me anyway. As a person who uses my words and my voice, that's like a gift that I have in this realm, because I like to talk in terms of like planes and realms and like spirituality, but I channel. And so if I limit myself to an idea of what I need to write about, I am not allowing any of the things to come out from like the ether into my throat. Mm-hmm. So now I just go in and I just see what happens. And a lot of the time I learn something new about myself through just allowing information to pass through me.
The more vulnerable we are as songwriters allows our listeners to connect in ways. And I remember seeing this interview with Richard Pryor. And he was talking about how he was diving into his personal life and talking about things that other comics weren't talking about, like his pain, the way his failures. And he created a whole new fan base because there was a room full of men that felt the same way, and no one had spoken to them that way before. And it wasn't until he was able to let the walls down and really get to that vulnerable part. So with you in this song, what was different about this particular song to allow you to let those walls drop and start being more courageous about your vulnerability?
I think that, again, because I just flow, the album that I've written, which is called The Open-Hearted, it's very much going through like the 5 stages of grief. So in this moment, I don't even know what the 5 stages are. Let me just say, I think it's like anger and regret. That's all I can remember, because it's mostly what my album features. But in this moment of time, I was ready to face those emotions, the heartbroken ones. You can't force it. They will eventually come out. But I think the really important thing is to allow them to come out in their own time. We always try and force our healing. I do. I'm a Virgo. As soon as I had the breakup, I was like, okay, so I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to go to psychic. I'm going to eat well. I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. I'm going to do all these things, because those were the things that I could control in a period of what I couldn't control. So I was like, I'm going to speed through this healing. And I realized you can't, because I did all those things. And I still had lessons to learn. Just because I was doing the right things didn't mean I was ready to face what had actually happened still. And I was still, it's like someone who goes on a diet and like sneaks potato chips or something. Like they're like, I'm going to eat so well. And then at night they like sneak a chip or like sneak a burger or something. That was what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to heal so good. And then at night I'd like sneak on Instagram and see what was going on. And like, you have to just like face it all and allow the moments to come when they're ready. And that's basically, I was just ready to write that song.
Yeah. Grief has a way of being able to find you.
Yeah.
You know, you can run all you want, but it's like a rope attached to your ankle.
Yeah, and like the really important thing is to not distract yourself from it, because it is a part of you. When you experience grief, it's normally to do with how much you've loved, and that's a beautiful thing. You just have to feel it so you can let it go. And I'm really lucky that I have found this, you know, I songwrite and I sing, and for me that allows me to process my emotions very well, because then they no longer have to live in my body. All the feelings I feel, I put into my art, and now it doesn't live in me anymore. And I can look back at it and go, wow, I really felt a certain type of way, and I'm so proud of the beauty that I've created from it, and I don't have to feel that way anymore.
What was your upbringing like? Do you come from a family of artists or musicians, or where did that inspiration to create come from for you?
So it's interesting because both my parents are musical. I had one family member, my dad loved the idea of me like being an artist. I was like, Dad, I want to write. And he's obsessed with Prince. He was in a Prince tribute band. And yeah, shout out Prince? Dad on the keys. He was on the keys doing the thing. And and he was like very supportive of that. My mother, who I don't actually have a relationship with and haven't spoken to for 12 years, she was not supportive. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting to have like such a different like an upbringing, in the sense of music was both celebrated and also almost taboo in a way. Mm-hmm. And it took me a long time to know myself and to not be afraid of my voice, because I knew that expressing my voice would cause me pain in a lot of ways. So I had to kind of remove myself from the situations that caused me pain, right, so that I could actually flourish as the person that I wanted to be or knew I was. And I advocate for that, for removing yourself from spaces that don't serve you, because it's the only time that you can really find out who you are without everyone like trying to project something onto you, which is normally their own hurts.
It's one of these expressions of creativity that does put you in the spotlight. It's one thing to be a poet or a writer or a painter, where your expression is on the page or hanging on a wall, where your expression is center stage.
Yeah.
So it's understandable to have that fear to share that vulnerability because there's nothing to hide behind.
Totally, yeah.
So what kind of music besides Prince did you hear growing up?
It was eclectic. I mean, one of the first people that I listened to that actually made me want to be a singer-songwriter was Linda Perry with when she was in The Four Non-Blondes. I just had never heard such a distinctive voice before, and I had been told and actually made fun of from a really young age about my voice. People would always say it was really unrecognizable, but when I was younger, it wasn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard that, I went, oh, you can have an interesting voice and it be a great thing. So that was something that kind of catapulted me into pursuing music as, like, yeah, you know, pursuing
There were
music.
three when I spent the week listening to your music, and one of the great things about this job is that every month I get to discover new artists that were not on my peripheral. So there were three voices that you reminded me of, not like you sounded specifically like them, but kind of I felt inspired by. One was Etta James, Erykah Badu, and Lauryn Hill. Those were just like, especially Erykah was
Big
just like
names. Oh God, I hope I did a good performance.
That was an amazing performance.
Thank you.
Don't stop being a Virgo for a second and lean more into the
big-ass
Libra.
names.
That was a kick-ass performance that you just did.
Thank you.
But it wasn't so much in the tonality of those voices. It was more in the expression in that. And you do have a very like unique voice that's only yours. But there's something like with Erykah Badu. I was lucky enough to see her very early on, and then see her at the Hollywood Bowl. And there was something about her that you just never knew what she was going to do next.
Yeah.
You know, but you knew like it was like skating on thin ice, and then she came right back in. And that's kind of how I felt with some of the ways that you were singing. But there wasn't a second that you didn't lose my attention.
Yay!
And that was really amazing. And I just think the thought that you put in beyond just the music and the arrangements, but also in the way that you present yourself when you're performing live and in your videos. Is that something that you bring to the table, or do you work with people, or do you have someone that's helping you with that style or the way that you're presented to your fans?
No, which is why it's taken me so long to find out who I am, because there were always people who, when I was with labels, there was always people who said, I think you should look like this, wear this, act like this. And I was like, cool, well, that's not who I am. And, you know, the first time when I was 19, I tried it, and it was so inauthentic, and people can see right through that.
Absolutely.
Especially as a musician, like the whole music is so personal and vulnerable that the only way to really relate is to get to the core of the person. And it didn't work. And yeah, my whole life people threw ideas at me, and I had to just remove myself completely and be like, who am I? It's a question that we never ask, because we're always like, oh, I'm a writer, I'm a doctor, I'm all these things. And it's like, well, no, those are just things that you do. Who are you as a human being?
Right.
And I had to remove myself and be like, why? I had to ask myself all these questions. Why do I do music? Why do I like to sing? Why do I like to write? Why am I the way I am? Why am I moody sometimes? All these things. And it was this huge discovery, and I really found out who I was and what I wanted to say and the messages that I had and the experiences. And I went, okay, this is me. Now I just have to be it. I don't have to try and do anything. I don't have to wear the latest thing. I don't have to have my hair a certain way. I just have to be it. And now I'm just like existing.
If I had to say there was a thread that connected all these interviews that I've done, is what you're talking about now, which is each artist has discussed finding themselves and expressing themselves in the way that they want to. And they've all come to the same conclusion, and they saw their success, or at least the growth of their followers or fans, with the moment that they decided to put aside what people wanted them to be and then decide who they were going to be. And then once they did that, the audience can see through all that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The audience may not be able to put their finger on what exactly it is, but it will make them either feel like they want to embrace you or not.
Yeah.
What was it like getting back on stage?
I love being on stage so much, which is funny because I used to not love being on stage. But the only reason why I didn't love being on stage before is because I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just didn't know what I was doing. Now I just play. I literally just go on stage and I play and I sing songs I've written. It feels incredible, and there's a serious energy exchange. That's like the beauty of being able to perform your work, is you give to the audience and the audience immediately give back to you in their responses and in their presence. And it's something that you don't get like on social media. You don't get that on many platforms, but on the stage it's like real humans being in energy together and sharing energy. And it's powerful to have a group of people immersed in an experience. It's so special.
And let's get back to the songwriting. When you've come up with something that you want to write about, like, what is that process from that beginning stages? At what point do you collaborate with others, or are you writing it, the music and the words yourself? What does that process look like for you?
I used to do everything on my own because I had an ego issue. I was like, I want to do everything on my own. Also, like, because I felt in control. And it's scary, again, to put yourself in a vulnerable space where, like, you don't know how other people work and maybe they won't think I'm good, you know? Now I collaborate a lot. Collaboration, I always work with, like, incredible producers. Sometimes I work with other top liners. That's something that I'm, like, delving more into. In fact, I worked with incredible top liners in this on this album. They're people who also help me with like melody and lyrics, which is it's amazing to do so because you're accessing someone else's brain and like they're also a channel. And sometimes to me, I'm just channeling all the time, channel. And sometimes if I have a block, their channel's wide open. And then they come and they bring it in and they fill the block. And I'm like, wow, I never thought of that. And you've just pieced together. It's like Picasso. It's like, just like amazing creation.
How did you go from writing songs on your own and then having access to these producers? How did that journey lead you to these people who have helped you get to that point?
I mean, that was very much with, signing to a label. It's just very industry, like signing to a label, reaching out, having a label there and working with incredible producers and then cultivating relationships.
How did the label find you? Like, what were you doing right before you got signed?
I had written some songs and some of them had gone viral on YouTube and labels found me. And I
You make
signed.
it sound so easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult.
I know it's not easy.
But that was how it went. I was lucky, but then you know what? It didn't work for me because again, I think that labels can be. So I before if I'd spoken about a year ago, I would have been like, labels are the worst. I hate labels. Now I see that labels, essentially, they're just like investment banks, and they're gonna see an artist, take them in, and be like, what is the least risk option that I can do, and then they'll do the tried and true, where it's like, okay, well, this idea worked with this artist, let's put it onto this new artist and hopefully it will give us the same results. And it just doesn't work that way because you're putting on like a different dress. You're putting on the same dress on someone who has a completely different being. And that was my experience. Now, I just didn't know myself yet to like be a part of that machine. I'm now in the process of really loving who I am and putting out my music independently. It's different. It's just different. So I'm grateful to, putting myself on YouTube and being found by a label and all that stuff. But it was more a learning experience than anything else.
Do you find that you're a bit of a people pleaser?
Absolutely was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And it's something, again, that I have been changing over time, where it has always been very hard for me to say, no, I don't want to do that. No, that doesn't feel good to me. And now I'm finally able to express myself, because it's very healing for everyone involved. When you people please, you burn yourself out, because you're catering to the needs of someone else before your own. And that's very exhausting. It's very draining. And you can lose yourself.
It becomes a distraction.
Totally.
And the word no ends up becoming a snowplow in front of you. And it gives you the bandwidth to do the things that are right for you,
Yeah.
rather than let other people's shit get in front of you.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
What is next for me? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I do know. I have an album coming out.
Do you need some notes for this part?
No. I'm like, what is next? No, I have an album that I'm releasing in the springtime, because to me, that's the start of the year. Everything's awake, everything's open. It's called The Open Hearted. And I'm just really excited. It's my first album ever. And I'm just proud of it. I'm really proud of it, because, again, it took a lot of getting to know myself, getting to know who I am and what I want my message to be. Because you don't have to, everyone has the thing that they come down to earth, or this place. I'm saying it again, but I always talk in planes and I always talk in realms. I always do. But this is my gift. And I wanted to know how best to serve the world I live in with this. And it took those 3 years of stillness to figure it out. And now it's like, I really want to raise the vibration. That's why I love performing, because to me, it raises the vibrations of everyone's energy. And so I'm excited to put myself in as many platforms as possible, so that I can just share love. Oh my God, I sound so cringy.
But this is about the courage you've been working on.
Yes,
This is exactly what you've been talking about, not to be afraid
Yes.
of allowing yourself to be vulnerable right now.
It's
You can't say
true.
no to yourself. You have to say,
can't.
this is a yes right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I love being open, and it's something that I have learned I actually wasn't before. I was very closed, and I thought I was open. Who knows? Maybe I think I'm open now and I'm not. But I just love the idea of just putting myself in spaces where we can build community, because I think community is really important, and I talk about it often, because particularly coming into LA, I did not have community in here. I spent a long time building community in London. And I came here and I went, oh my God, this is new. And the people are different, and I don't know what to do here. And now I've found myself around beautiful souls that I really enjoy, who help my roots sink deeper. And when you have, again, that solid foundation in yourself, and then you're supported by loved ones, it doesn't have to be like family, it's just community. When you find that there are people out in the world who love you just for who you are, that gives you so much space to play and create and do the things that make you happy. Obviously, that happiness will always be within you, and it's very important to find it within you. But in sharing that energy, it's very powerful for the world. It's so powerful.
And when you have that trust, it allows you to push yourself further as an artist.
Exactly.
And express yourself in ways that maybe you do in a dark room, but then you share it with everyone else. And that's the magic place where we reach our audience.
Yeah.
Is when they sit there and go, she's going through this too? I'm going through this right now. How is that possible? I see everything that she has. How is she going through what I'm going through?
Yeah. That's
And
community to me.
Yeah. Well, I know that we sent you some speakers, the JBL 3 series.
Yes, you did. And
So how's your experience been working with them?
They're amazing. They're amazing. I have a little home studio set up at my house that I will like record. If I have something that I've written really quickly, I'll record it there and send it. And they're perfect. They're just powerful, and I love them.
It's something also with the gear that we use, like the people that we work with. It allows us that trust to be able to push ourselves further as well. And have you been using them to write new songs and to record?
Yeah, I just set them up. They're amazing, and it's funny because I had to write a verse really quickly. I just came back from New York, so I had to get this verse, and it was just so easy to do, and then to listen back and be like, this actually sounds really good, and I can trust this, and send it on.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So where can our viewers find you online? What are your socials?
Well, guys, I'm not funny. I think I'm funny, but I'm not.
No, you're pretty funny.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're meaning to be, but this is entertaining.
I'm going to keep that.
Yeah. It has been a very entertaining interview.
Yay.
Yeah.
So this is where you can find me, under my name. I don't know why I did that either, because it's not like there's going to be a...
Well,
my
we
name.
might have
Maybe.
to add one now.
But my name is Arlissa. It's Arlissa, and you can find... Why did I spell it? It's got to say it as well, what, isn't it? See, I've lost the plot now. Never mind.
I'm Will Hawkins, and this has been Headliner Magazine, and we're here in the JBL Harman Experience Center in Los Angeles. And we want to thank them for providing a home for us to do these interviews. I want to thank you very much for spending some time with us today. And I do wish you the very, very best with this new album. From what I've heard of it, it's beautiful, and you got a lot to be proud of.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Will.
So again, Will Hawkins from Headliner, and we'll see you next time.